For the first time since '04, ending a 21-year streak, LeBron James sat out of the All-Star game due to foot and ankle soreness. His late decision left Commissioner Adam Silver without time to name a replacement. The NBA All-Star Tournament tipped off with Chuck's Global Stars taking down Kenny's Young Stars 41-32. Wemby chipped in 6 points. SGA led the way with 12, scoring the final 5 to seal the dub. In the second semi, Shaq's OGs took down the Rising Stars behind Lillard and Curry, 17 combined points. After a few misses, it was Dame time. Dame Lillard sealed the win with a clutch 3, setting up a final showdown with Chuck's Global Stars. And lastly, Steph Curry and Shaq's OG All-Stars dominated the final, cruising to a 41-25 win. Jason Tatum led with 15 points, while Curry added 12 and claimed his second All-Star Game MVP. Draymond Green had some strong comments about the addition of the Rising Stars to the new All-Star Game format. Listen up.
Candace goes, I'm coaching some team. And she's right. Some team that no one wants to see.
Oh, man.
I had to work so hard to play on Sunday night of All-Star Weekend. And because ratings are down, because the game's bad, we're bringing in Rising Stars. That's not a fix. I never played in the Rising Stars game. My first 2 years, I didn't touch that game. And these guys get to touch the All-Star floor? To be playing in the All-Star game and you did not make the All-Star team is absurd.
All right, I say Draymond's not having it. Do you feel like his comments were fair or foul?
I think they were fair from the standpoint that it's not the answer. But I think that, as I said at the beginning of the show, there's a level of culpability, a strong level of culpability, if not complete level of culpability that the players themselves have. They brought this on themselves. This wasn't Adam Silver and the league's desire. They didn't want to do this. When you sit up there and you say that you had to work so hard to get to Sunday and play All-Star Weekend, certainly not talking about Draymond himself, but why did the players appear so lackadaisical and indifferent towards it once they got there over the last several years? That's not what, and here's the real crime, Molly, Perk, Shannon. Their predecessors didn't do this. Kobe Bryant didn't do that. Michael Jordan didn't do that. Dr. J didn't do that. Bird didn't do that. Magic didn't do that. Did you notice that Magic Johnson wasn't there yesterday? Did you notice that? Magic Johnson, regardless of all of his business ventures, this man lives, eats, and breathes NBA. He didn't show up. And I'm willing to bet my check he didn't show up because he said, if they don't care, why the hell should I? I got better things to do with my time. And then I don't know if we're getting into this or not, but I'm going to bring up Mr. McClung himself. First of all, I want to thank this kid for the last 3 All-Stars, saving the slam dunk contest. Okay, I want to thank him for that. But let's pump the brakes when we start talking about him as the best dunker and all of this other stuff. Yeah, he has been the last several years, but, I mean, doesn't bounce the ball. It's more of a prop. I mean, when you think about Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon and MJ and Vince Carter and others, let's stop this now. But this is what it's regressed to. He's such a savior because he can dunk. He is a young, phenomenal kid. He's a G-leaguer. He comes up and shows up All-Star Weekend, and he wants it so badly. He's outshining the stars. So Draymond, again, wasn't wrong. But you got to be complete with what you're saying. And I went on Twitter and I supported what Draymond said, and I'm not backing up from that one bit. But you got to point to the players because it ain't just a game, even the slam dunk contest. It's the slam dunk contest with Ja Morant and all of these cats tweeting they might participate. Whatever. We'll see next year. I mean, you got a year. We know we've been hit. LeBron said it one year. Sign me up. He was getting interviewed and said, I'm going to show up, and didn't show up for the slam dunk contest, okay? So props to this kid. But nevertheless, it's not just, and then Steph Curry. He doesn't play in the three-point shooting contest Saturday night, even though it's right there on his home turf, okay? Somehow, some way, we're seeing this. And the dereliction of duty is very, very flagrant. So I don't blame Draymond for saying what he said. I just think that you got to point to the fact that it's the fault of the players why things have regressed to this point where we're literally thankful that effort is being shown.
Yeah, Stephen, you're right. It's they created this problem, and the players can be the only ones that can fix it. Giannis said that, has a simple solution: make it Team USA versus Team World, and you rotate cities. You have 1 year you're in the U.S., the next year you're in Paris or you're somewhere else. Steve, look, if you and Perk, you and I I think we're on the same page on this. If you look at the Rising Stars, when they played the OGs had to dig deep because those young guns wanted to beat their butts because they want to see where they actually stack up. Okay, if we can do this, kind of like when the Olympics, Stephen, you remember in '92 when they brought those young college kids and they beat the brakes off them that time, they started taking it serious because Chuck Daly wanted to send a message, this is what could happen if you don't play your best ball. I just think the thing is that they need to go back to the OG formula, East versus West, and Adam Silver have a conversation with the guys, say, look, guys, we're not going to keep continuing to do this farce that you guys are putting on. Either play with some level of intensity. We're not asking you to treat it like the NBA Finals. We're not asking you to treat it like a Game 7 in the playoffs. But we are asking you to give a minimal effort. Don't just come down jacking up threes. Don't just come down and dunk the ball. Because we've seen before, that's not what it was. You guys have allowed it to do this, and then you wonder why fans don't care. Not just in the All-Star game, the regular season as well, because you're showing them a level that you don't care. So they're saying, if you don't care, why should we with our eyeballs?
So it did work. It did work. Yesterday, the format did work because we saw the old heads, the OGs, had to dig deep. We saw them on the perimeter sliding their puppies because they pride got in the way because they said that they wasn't going to lose to those rising stars. So it did work. It did ruffle some feathers. And I applaud Adam Silver and the NBA and Steph Curry. It don't matter. They still had to get to the championship. Did they not compete? Answer the question. Did they compete or not? Harder than the last 2 or 3 years.
Let me ask you this, Perk.
They did compete harder.
They competed. Okay, the OGs against the Rising Stars. Why can't we get that level of competition, the East versus the West?
That's why we're here, though, Shannon. We're talking about what happened last night. And all I'm saying is last night we saw them compete harder than what we did the last 2 or 3 years. So before I come on here and crucify the All-Star game format, I'm going to say that it actually worked for last night for this appetizer that we saw it on. Here's another thing. I don't have a problem. Look, Draymond, he could voice his opinion. I don't have to agree with it, just like I didn't agree with what he said yesterday. The problem that I have with Draymond is if you're going to address the overall issue, address everything. Address your peers. Address the guys that got us to this point because they hadn't been competing. Address those guys who didn't come about and make sure that they secure this sacred place and compete on this sacred court that you was talking about. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. At the end of the day, the lack of accountability is still where it's at today, and guys don't want to own up to it and say, you know what, this is our fault. This is our fault all across the board. So, again, the format worked for me short term.
We got to pay attention to, fellas. We got to pay attention to this, too, fellas. McClung, again, major props to that kid. Do y'all know that he has nearly as many slam dunk titles, which is 3, as NBA games played, which is at 5? Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about. So we're talking about Perk. The question isn't about whether or not it worked. We know it worked because we saw an elevated level of effort. It's in response to Draymond Green's, diatribe against the format. We're simply pointing out what you said, Perk, that it's a damn shame that it had to come to this and that the players are culpable. And the players ain't just culpable. Remember, the players ain't just comfortable, ain't culpable just for All-Star game on Sunday. They're also culpable for the entire weekend because it has nosedived in terms of interest over the last year. So literally because the players have gone on the court and acted like they don't give a damn.
Real quick, Perk, before you go, and Stephen A, we're going to get into the dunk contest in the next block. So Shay, I know Stephen A started the conversation, and Perk, you can get into it. But let me just say this really quickly. I think both things can be true. I think it can be true that it's unfortunate how we got here, but also this new format did invigorate it and add some life and add some energy and add some defense and competitiveness that we were hoping to see. Perk?
Molly, I'm going to say this. I thought this was first take, and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in Stephen A., and I'm disappointed in Shannon, because both of these guys are straddling the fence this morning. Were Draymond comments fair or foul? If you're telling me that the format actually, how were they fair when you guys are saying that the guys actually, how? When they competed?
Because
how were they fair when the
I'm answering your damn question, because he said he doesn't like it. He doesn't appreciate that it happened. And we're saying, yo, you brought it on yourself. We didn't appreciate it either. The fact of the matter is that we didn't necessarily want to see the rookie all-stars. We wanted to see all-stars. But in order to get us to see something from the legitimate all-stars, we had to sit up there and allow them to enter the proceedings because of the dereliction of effort that they put forth. I'm talking about the all-stars here. So the point is that is answering the question. Ain't nobody straddling the fence. We answered the question.
Yeah, Perk. See, this is what Perk did. Perk took one aspect of it. Well, look at the Rising Stars when they played the OGs, but what about the other games? What about this mess going to 40 points? Well, hell, why not go to 11 by ones? Since you want to make it street ball-esque, since you want to do it like that, Perk, how about go to 11 by ones? 3 count ones, 2s count ones, no matter what, it's a 1 point going to 11. How about that, since you want to change the format and you like this, considering you got the NBA, the East versus the West, and all we're not asking you to go out there and play it like an NBA Finals. We're not asking you to play it like the playoffs. Just give us the effort, both sides, what the Rising Stars and the OGs did in that one game, go back to East versus the West.
Yeah, let me just say this really quick, Perk, because I was with you in terms of, yeah, it did add a little life, et cetera, but to Draymond's sentiment, how hard and how much work it takes to become an actual all-star, and technically the competitiveness we didn't see wasn't between all-stars. So how about the fact that we're not seeing all-stars competing on Sunday? Like, is that really fair?
What you mean? Is it fair for them to cheat the fans like they have been over the last two to 3 years? Is that fair, Molly? No. So things had to change. Again, my question is, did the OGs, did the superstars compete yesterday? Did they compete?
Not against the other, not against the other all-stars.
That's the thing. It's
the
not
other all-stars. They didn't
compete
against Chuck like that. They didn't compete against. Oh Lord.
It was more. It feels like it was more of a pride thing, like old versus young. Like we're in our 30s, we're in our 20s, so we're going to show up and show that we still have it. But it wasn't all-stars versus all-stars. So technically, it really didn't work when you look at it that way.
Molly, the biggest thing is this. If you watch these guys simply working out in the off season, they gave 10 times more effort there than they did the last 3 or 4 all-star weekends. It has been an absolute travesty and an embarrassment. It has sullied the brand because you have players who are making generational money that are snubbing their nose at their own product. I've had a very prominent agent say to me, quote, the problem is the players look at the NBA like a bank instead of as partners. The league emphatically disagrees with this assertion that they don't treat the players well, that they don't prioritize them during All-Star Weekend and stuff like that. These are the things that have been said to me by league officials. But nevertheless, because of the money that they're getting paid, the guaranteed dollars that have secured them, their bag is secure, they have the power to be a bit dismissive and indifferent. And ultimately, the league tried something new, which I applaud them for. Even though it wasn't the greatest idea, I don't blame them one bit. And in the end, when you talk about the NBA versus the international players in various sports, they're based off of their fan base alone and how that fan base holds them accountable. You know they're going to show up and show up with pride trying to handle their business because they want to win. Will the U.S. players do the same? That's the question.
Well, it worked yesterday. Yesterday.
It didn't work.
Wanna try to boast at what I look like. Think I'm gonna try to wear, I pull up all brains. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on the ESPN.